All right then, we just found out Sue's got an emergency, so she'll be a little bit later. So we'll get started. Welcome everybody and good afternoon. We're here for the Recreational Facilities Advisory Board meeting. And before we get started, I just had a few remarks. Some of the work that I've done in the last little bit to get some momentum moving here. So on the council meeting on the 30th, JJ and I were attending the meeting. I got a little bit of press time, and thanks to Ian, I got a chance to introduce myself to the whole board, or the whole council, sorry. So I saw that a clear majority of the council supports this effort, and that's very reassuring. Hopefully we're all moving in the same direction here. In the last 3 weeks, I've met with a number of people. I got to meet with the radio and the print press. Throw my name out there as well as Bill's for some of the press on the recreational facilities. So we're moving forward on our community engagement strategy, and I look forward to hearing a little bit more about that as we move on today. I think there's a lot of value in getting weekly coverage on this in the whole community. I've also been in touch with the Aquatic Sport Council of Ontario and Bell, and we had a good chat about the philosophical motivation for more facilities in Ontario in general. Her website really did a nice job of outlining the requirements for all competitive aquatic facilities. So that's something that I did send around to all of you guys to do a little exploration. The aquatics is my forte, so I've done a lot more digging there than I have in, say, the hockey arena. Gord, I'm hoping you're going to be all over that one. But I hope everybody can just kind of learn what they can and be ready to start bringing requirements to the table when we do get into those discussions. I've also been in touch with the MP and MPP's offices for the area. I'm trying to build a business case on why this is not just a municipal requirement. It's a federal and a provincial requirement to improve these community facilities as well. And I'm planning on meeting Toby Barrett for lunch on the 8th of March. Federally, I think we can really hit home with the Minister of Sport and Persons with Disabilities. We can also meet with the Infrastructure and Communities Minister, especially if we go green. Green infrastructure can really help us out there. So I think we should take a look at that. And the new Minister of Rural Economic Development could also be really high on our side. So I'm hoping we can get Ms. Finley's office to help us communicate best with those ministries, as well as the Ministries of Family, Children, and Social Development, if we choose to define a requirement for childcare in our facility. And the Minister of Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship could also help us out here. So that's what I wanted to do federally and provincially, and you know, I'm hoping that you guys will also help us out figuring out what we need to do to engage these people federally and provincially. I was a little disappointed at the cancellation of the February 4th Wilmot visit. I was looking forward to meeting their staff with Bill and finding out statistics on pool usage, cost to operate the facility, that sort of thing. The tours that we're going to have, if we are going to have tours, are not so much to tour around and see you know, what you can see on the internet if you logged into their site. The goal of the tours is to talk to the experts on running the facility and find out as many lessons that we can learn ahead of time on the design, and also engage with them to figure out, you know, what we can do best for our community in terms of planning this thing out and making sure that it meets the the community needs between now and, I'll go all the way to 2085. This is going to be a long-term project, and we're building some infrastructure that is going to be, a future heritage building. Also, I got to meet with the London Canada Games Pool Facilities Manager, Joaquim Barrientos, and I met him in person as well as in email, and he's putting me in touch with the general manager of that facility so that we can start discussing the statistics around that facility, operating costs, as well as the usage figures in terms of personnel and chemicals, and some of the best uses of that facility. I don't know if you guys have had a look, but McMaster is also putting in a $60 million pool facility. It's going in underneath Iverwind Stadium. It's in the announcement phases. So check that site out online. I don't think we need the 5 pools that they're putting in, but perhaps it can help us situate our estimate. And of course, also in the news this week, Cambridge just canceled their hub. And that's a little bit disappointing, but it's also a call to arms on our time scales. We don't want to let this drag out so long that we lose the momentum. So let's develop some good momentum and see what we get. That's all I got for now. I guess we're moving on to the disclosure of pecuniary interest. If there's no pecuniary interest, I guess you have to declare it. No pecuniary interest declared. That's me. JJ? Ian? Okay. Approval and changes to the agenda is next. Are there any changes anybody would like to propose to the agenda? Okay, the only thing I wanted to make sure that is covered is action items in the discussion phase. So we'll make sure that we get through our meeting action items. So we're on to presentations and deputations, and I ran into Mike Fredericks a little bit earlier, and I think he's going to introduce the presentation we're about to see.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Your Worship, councillors, and committee members. As you said, my name is Mike Fredericks. I'm here to speak on behalf of the deputation, to introduce the deputation that was requested by Twee Brown of High Point Developments. We have a group that is here collectively to present. We have a presentation for you. It, in fact, is an amalgamation of 4 parties that have been discussing these matters for some time and trying to move this concept forward. With your permission, Mr. Chair, first I would like to ask permission, because of the number of people that are involved and the depth of the information that we've accumulated over a number of years, if you would please allow us perhaps up to 25 minutes for the collective presentation. I will make my comments brief, by background to start, and then I will pass the primary element over to Mr. John Arians of IPI Consulting Group, who was engaged by our collective, but also with some assistance, I believe, from Norfolk County in the past, and he has been involved with the project for a few years. He'll tell you much more about his elements. And then we will proceed to have short presentations from each of the other parties that are part of it. And somebody here probably has a gavel, but I'll be standing by making sure they behave as well, because we will respect your permission to have 25 minutes with you. So thank you. I will, on a personal level, I've been engaged with this concept for shortly. I was one of the early members of the Quiet Citizens Group to chat about this concept that the community should have a center of excellence, was the very first words that were used to describe it. And the center of excellence could mean many things to many people. It's quite ambiguous, of course. I spent a very interesting afternoon with some very smart, close friends, and even a prior mayor, talking about blue skying. What could this be? What could it mean to Norfolk? And what could the elements be, most importantly? Our vision was not that we were not building recreational, or we were not building arenas, we were not building pools, we were not building anything except for a lifestyle facility that could capture and engage all the people of Norfolk, perhaps if in the simplest terms, when they're not working, whether they're seniors, whether it's the after hours, it's whether they're with their children, whether they're just looking to find out about the history of the community. So we had a very broad-ranging concept of trying to make sure. Is that my damn phone beeping? Yes. I'll take care of that because it'll keep going. No, and as Kim knows from last Thursday, it just means I'm supposed to take my pill now. But that'll keep me braver, so I'll remember to take my pill. Yeah, so I'll remember to take my pill. Sorry about that, folks. So the concepts were very broad. The effort to bring it to some element of definition commenced. I have documents going back that we will happily share. We've shared with the consultant from 2012, which, interestingly enough, many of the elements that are in the one that you did, John, 2 or 3 years ago, are very similar and consistent. So we think we kind of understand what we think makes sense for the community. As you know, we had I've subsequent draftings, and then we did get to the point of actually hiring professionals to turn it into concepts and renderings and deliverables. So something obviously we believe in. The groups that are here today are professional groups that care about the community as well and have their own concepts they want to add into making sure that it all makes sense and make it economically sensible for all of Norfolk and all of its movements forward. I will pass the mic, as I said very quickly, to Mr. Arians. John Arians, IPI Consulting Group, was engaged by the group collectively and will just deliver the next presentation. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Madam Mayor, members of council, and committee members. It's a pleasure for me to be here. I have a number of land development projects underway in Norfolk County, but this is by far my favorite one. And it is because it is a community hub. And as Mike indicated, it's what do you do after work, and that's so important. It's not just arenas, it's not just swimplexes, it's a gathering place. With your permission, Mr. Chairman, I do have a PowerPoint presentation I can share with everyone.
I think that'd be great.
Thank you, sir. And of course, the remote's not working. Just enter, please. Yep. There we go. Thank you. So that's the first slide. It just it identifies who I'm here with. Fanshawe College, of course, well known with their new campus here in Simcoe. The Satia Group, who are the owners of a large parcel of land that we've been working with. High Point Developments, they are a provider of student housing. That's the connection as well with Fanshawe College. Mike and his group, Care Norfolk, and Norfolk Council also contributed to our preliminary background work. Myself and one of my staff members out of our Hamilton office helped coordinate the project, and collectively we've been working on this for about 2.5, 3 years now. I could have the next slide. So this slide here describes what we would typically find within a community hub, and these are the list of the common elements, and I'm glad you mentioned the Wilmot facility. My daughter lives in New Hamburg. My grandsons play hockey. I'm there every Saturday morning, either walking the track or in the pool or watching hockey. It is a wonderful facility. And of course, that community center, that senior center, the arenas, the libraries, the swimplex, they're all part of a community hub, and they provide a nucleus of facilities, whether it's a velodrome, a running track, pickleball courts are really big components. All of that combined create that community hub. Now, ultimately, it's the community need that will establish what facilities you're going to have. You have existing facilities. Some of them are aging. Some of them are in still good shape. You don't have to replace them immediately. The idea of a hub is that you build on it as you need. And again, it's that community need that determines the uses. The facilities will also be phased, and as I said, they're not there all at once. We start with a clean piece of paper, and we want a large enough parcel to provide some flexibility so that you can add uses and facilities as you need it. The idea of phasing also spreads the costs, but in order to phase it, you require a large parcel of land to give you that flexibility. And while you have a large parcel of land, it doesn't mean you don't use all of it, because you can put outdoor playing fields at relatively cheaply just by grading and sodding the land or hydro-seeding it. So, the playing fields, if you've got a 20-acre or 30-acre parcel of land, but your buildings only occupy 4 or 5, your playing fields will use that. So it's good use of the land. Now, the benefits of a community hub, and I think I'm preaching to the choir here, it's a more efficient provision of recreation. It's that one-stop shopping experience. More importantly, it creates that community focal point. It creates the identity for Norfolk County, because it serves the entire county in hopefully a central location. It provides a reason for your citizens to stay in this community, not just your citizens, but your business community. They want to stay in Norfolk County because you've got these wonderful facilities. Why would I go to Hamilton? Why would I go to Brantford when I can stay in Norfolk? So it adds to the quality of life, and it creates these economic spin-offs. And the economic spin-offs, of course, attract new businesses. They encourage existing businesses to stay. It creates a catalyst. Fanshawe is part of our team, and the reason being is that Fanshawe sees the benefit of a community hub because it allows them to now attract student housing and more additional students to their campus, and their campus can continue to grow. You can imagine what the economic spin-offs that Brantford had when Laurier established their campus. Create that similar type of catalyst here with Fanshawe College. It, of course, expands tourism. Tournaments, competitions, trade shows. The Norfolk County Home Show could be held, the Cottage Show could be held, all within this hub concept. And it's also an attractive site for additional housing, and particularly seniors housing. Now, when we consider the locations for a hub, we require a fully serviced site because, sewer and water are an integral part of these types of facilities. It obviously has to be centrally located, and you do have a large county, but primarily you've got the 4 larger urban centers, so somewhere proximate to those 4 urban centers would be ideal. We've suggested 20 to 30 acres as, meeting your needs, providing that flexibility, and of course, close to Fanshawe, I think, is important to allow them to really obtain the benefits from it. From a transportation point of view, it needs to be on your arterial roads or on your collector roads for access purposes. And we would always like these hubs to be linked to a trail system so that you've got bicycling and walking and those kind of interconnections. I can go to the Wilmot Center, and in the wintertime I can walk or run the track, and in the summertime there's all these woods around it, I can run outside. So being linked to a trail system is important. And the other thing to consider is when you're looking at a hub location, land assembly you should try to avoid. If you've got one large parcel of land available, obviously that's your best bet rather than trying to assemble multiple properties. So we feel we have the perfect site for Norfolk County. And as I mentioned, we are partnering with Fanshawe, Zatia Group, High Point, the developments of student housing, and Care Norfolk. And our proposed site can be 25 to 30 acres. It's fully serviced. It's flexible. It has a rectangular shape. It can accommodate a wide variety of uses, and it's central. It's also maybe half a kilometer from Fanshawe College. We have trail linkages available. We're on 2 collector roads, being the Coo and Ireland, and no assembly is required. And I got that phrase from those commercials at Christmas time, you know, no assembly required here, folks. It's all one site. So, and here is the perfect site in our opinion. It's situated at the corner of the Coo and Ireland Road. As you can see, it's central to Simcoe. It's proximate to Dover. It's very close to waterfront, and it's readily accessible from Delhi. So it's a central location that well suits your 4 major urban centers. Next slide, please. And this is the concept plan that we came up with, and I'll spend a little bit of detail going over this concept plan. It wasn't just a clean piece of paper, and here we threw on some boxes and some lines. A lot of thought went into this. First of all, I obtained the engineering drawings from the Satia group. We looked at site servicing, we looked at access, we looked at stormwater management, and we came up with this concept. First of all, you'll see at the corner of Ireland and the Coo, we've added a traffic roundabout rather than a traffic light. As a facility of this nature will attract a lot of traffic. You want to keep that traffic moving. A roundabout is the perfect solution, and it's significantly cheaper than a signalized intersection. We have entrances into the complex from the Coo and Ireland Road, and I don't have a pointer. I'm sorry? No, I was going to point out some of the main features. Right at the intersection, we have, you know, the community center, the senior center, the adult lifestyle facility, and immediately attached to that on a slight angle, we've added the swimplex. And then the 3 rectangles further to the left of that are the multi-use areas, which could be arenas, which could be gymnasiums, which could add different components like that. You'll see that we have outdoor facilities. We've got an area for either a velodrome or an outdoor bubble type of component. We've added splash pads, canteen areas, tennis courts, soccer pitch, junior intermediate soccer, and baseball diamonds. We've also added a stormwater management area. And up at the far top corner, that's where the student housing block would be. And at the far lower left corner, an adult lifestyle or a seniors complex. So perhaps the next slide, please. We feel that the sky is the limit with this property. These are the types of facilities that can readily be accommodated. It's your full shopping list of what a community hub generally entails. The swimplex, the adult living center, the community center, the arenas, the seniors residence, the multi-purpose indoor, the indoor court, splash pad, a student residence, a seniors residence, outdoor facilities, a pump track. We've added something called a tranquility courtyard, which I'll describe in a moment. Next slide. So this will give you an illustration of the swimplex and the size of the facility as shown on this drawing. The type of features that you can readily incorporate into this type of building. Next one, please. Now this shows the multi-purpose or arena space, whether it's gymnasiums or hockey rinks or basketball courts. They have that multi-purpose that can accommodate, you know, either a double rink or a triple or gymnasium and one rink. There's so many different facilities that can be incorporated in this type of a structure. This is the area where we've identified potential for a velodrome or a bubble type of building for indoor activities. Next one. Again, in the community center component, the meeting rooms, the gymnasium areas for yoga, for fitness classes, conferences, trade shows can all be held in these types of facilities. Outdoor, again, where the bubble area could be identified for indoor tennis, indoor soccer. If you've been to the RIM facilities in Waterloo, they have a wonderful indoor soccer and indoor baseball activity areas, all within a bubble type of complex. This is, for the younger kids, the pump track, the BMX component. And you can see on the slide up at the upper left-hand corner the tennis courts in the background, you know, showing how the kids could be riding the bikes while mom and dads could be out playing tennis. You know, it's that family type of facility that caters to all your recreational needs. Next one, please. The outdoor tennis courts, again, the outdoor soccer facilities are all available. And our location is unique in that these can be lighted facilities. We don't have low-density residential areas immediately surrounding it. We don't have neighbors, you know, who are going to complain about the noise, who are going to complain about the lighting, complaining about the traffic. It's a great site from a compatibility and a land use planning standpoint. And then, of course, we have the conventional outdoor areas for soccer and for baseball as well. This is the splash pad, and speaks for itself. What a wonderful facility for young kids to just go and enjoy themselves and go nuts on a hot day in July. And then, of course, next to that, we have a canteen and a change room area where, you know, refreshment stand, change rooms, washrooms for the outdoor facilities are all provided in a great central location. And you'll also see on this site plan, we've been able to incorporate over 400 parking spaces, which is an important part. And if I had a digital pointer, I could point, we've got a lay-by area for buses to pull off and unload. So we've incorporated as many facilities and features as we possibly could. And then here's that tranquility garden next to the roundabout where we've got some nice quiet areas where you can watch the traffic going around in circles and, you know, hopefully no accidents. And then stormwater management has been incorporated into the design. That really is the only infrastructure that's required. As I said, sewer and water are readily available. We need to deal with our own runoff. We've got a channel capable of accommodating the runoff. And we also treat the stormwater facility as an amenity. We put benches and parks, trail systems there. We don't fence off a stormwater management area. We make it part of the landscape. And then seniors housing can readily be provided. This is a block of land that Zatia will retain and probably develop it with a seniors housing complex. And then last but not least, the student housing component. This is where High Point comes in, immediately proximate to the center, within close walking distance of Fanshawe College. We've got student housing that takes advantage of the community hub as well. We also like to create that focal point, and we do that in part with a beautiful glassed atrium as the main entryway into this facility, helping create that identity that you've now come to this special, wonderful place in Norfolk County for all your recreational needs. So our proposed location, it's central, it's fully serviced, it provides you that flexibility, it partners with Fanshawe. We feel it's the perfect site and we feel it's a made in Norfolk solution. Yep, just backspace it please. We've actually prepared a colored rendering, and if you can't quite see it on the screen there, but I think it's visible on your screen. Is this Norfolk County in 2022? Question mark. We certainly hope so, and we feel we've got the perfect site for this. So that really concludes my part of the presentation, and I'll turn it back to Mike at this point. Just leave it.
Hello, everyone. My name's Paul Halleck. I'm one of the partners in the Zatia group. There's actually only two of us that own the land, and that's my partner back there, Peter Liberis. So there's the two of us. As mentioned by John and by Mike, we were approached, and we're very happy to participate and work with Norfolk County, Care Norfolk, Fanshawe College, and High Point as well. So, as mentioned, we have a large block of land. We have 133 acres, all in the urban boundary. We're actually currently developing 97 townhouses right now. That's online. And at the end of the day, we think, from our perspective, we'd like to see this progress, whether it's on our site or another site. I think a hub is a fantastic thing for Norfolk County. It's badly needed, as you all know. And if we can help and participate, we're more than happy to. And I'll leave it at that. And now I'm going to call up Krista from Fanshawe.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. My name's Krista Zilke, and I'm here on behalf of Fanshawe College. We are super excited about this opportunity for Norfolk County and strongly support this initiative. We are proud to have a vibrant campus here in Simcoe, and Fanshawe has been and always will be interested in community partnerships that are mutually valuable and meet the needs of Norfolk County. So we would like to be involved and are prepared to assist in any way we can. Our president, Peter Devlin, has previously offered the college's support with respect to application writing or helping with the proposal or application. So I just want everyone to know that that offer of assistance still stands today. Furthermore, we believe we could support Norfolk County with this project by expanding our programming to address community needs and to attract more students to this county. We currently have over 300 to 400 full-time students and about 2 to 3 times that amount in part-time students attending our campus currently. And we recently invested about $4 to $5 million in our Simcoe campus on Ireland Road. So we've had great success recently expanding our international student population. Our international students, which are primarily from India at the moment, are having an exceptionally positive experience so far. They like this community, and the majority of them, I think probably all of them, have all obtained jobs in this area while going to school. So it's been extremely positive. So we know the international market is a growth market for us. However, the housing options are very limited. We have to rely on community housing, and there's only so many to go around at this point in time. We also know on the domestic side that we could attract more students if there were housing and recreational facilities and amenities available to them. It would be a draw for those researching community colleges and deciding where they want to apply. If the housing issues were addressed by High Point Development with respect to student residences, we believe we could attract more students. And we also know that the student experience could be enhanced because there would be recreational activities, there'd be amenities nearby. Those will all be things to kind of create that overall student experience that people are looking for. And we don't know if we're currently losing students based on the fact that we don't have all those other things that some other colleges do offer when you're in a bigger center. We deliver some unique programming that students are now commuting to get to here to take, and we know that we could probably attract more students from outside of this area if there were options for them locally. So depending on what your vision is for Norfolk County and the facility, we'd be prepared to explore new programming ideas depending on what is part of this recreational facility. For example, if there were kitchen facilities, there could be opportunities for culinary programs, could be food service options for our students. If there were seniors residences or a senior center, there could be healthcare programming or placement opportunities for our PSW or SSW students, or we could provide programming for seniors or bring special interest classes directly to them instead of them having to come to our campus. With recreational activities being a big potential part of the hub, there could be rec and leisure type programming that we could explore. If there was a daycare, there could be experiential opportunities for our ECE and DSW students. If there were multipurpose rooms or learning spaces, we could offer professional development workshops. We could do training to local businesses and community members. We could add more daytime programming because right now we're currently maxed out in space and we've kind of had to limit what programs we could offer during the day. So if there was places that we could rent out of extra space, then we could offer more programming that we couldn't normally do. Furthermore, if there's a large enough community center, we could host college events, graduation ceremonies, conferences, etc. So the opportunities are endless and would all depend on what is in the space, the proximity to the college, community needs, and of course, student and employer demand. So we believe that our student population would increase traffic and membership to a community hub to access the facilities, and with a portion of our students not having their own transportation, proximity to our college will be an important consideration. I could go on. Opportunities are endless, but we are happy to help in any way, whatever that may be, if that's helping with the application writing, proposal, expanding our programming. Please let us know. We're excited about the potential that Community Hub has for Norfolk County, our local economy, and our current and future Fanshawe College students. So thank you very much. I'm going to turn it over to Twee Brown now. He's going to speak about the student housing.
Okay, thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. So I'm Twee Brown. I'm the CEO of High Point Development out of London, Ontario, and we've been part of the hub conversation since the inception of the idea of the hub. Not as long as Mike and his smart friends, but certainly been around for a few years having this discussion. You may wonder why we are interested in Norfolk in the first place. Well, the answer is very simple. We truly believe in the idea of the hub. We believe that the net positive effects of putting facilities and services together to create energy and the vibrance that is maintained by those same facilities and services as part of a greater whole, such as the hub, is valuable to any community, but especially here in Norfolk. We are interested in building a student residence as part of the hub to serve the Fanshawe College students in Norfolk County. We have already built a student residence in London, catering to the Fanshawe students at their main campus. The building is home to over 600 students and has been full and with a wait list since the doors opened in 2015. It is successful because purpose-built student housing is needed and wanted by the students and their parents. It is our intention to create a space where students can be a part of a community within a larger community, such as Norfolk County. We create the community spirit by providing extracurricular programming at the building for the students. The programming is focused on helping students feel comfortable and safe and being able to create strong bonds with one another. For many, it is their first time living away from home. They enjoy, as part of our residents in the building, the residents on First, they enjoy being part of a community where they have and can share common interests. And they also, along with their parents, appreciate the security and service that they're provided with 24-hour surveillance and staffing. We expect the student residence that we will build for the Fanshawe Norfolk Regional Campus will include programming that is specifically designed for students in collaboration with Fanshawe College. We are prepared to have the residents be a part of the college's co-op programming, provide learning spaces and opportunities, as well as work after graduation. So it keeps the students and the population here within your county. We believe that the location is key to create the synergy, the dynamics, and the benefit of a hub, as well as the logistics to operate a successful residence for students and the integrated learning and job opportunities for them. So we personally believe that the best site is the one that we are presenting today, the site that is on Ireland Road closest to Fanshawe College. Thanks for the opportunity to present our perspective.
Thank you all. I'll just do a wrap-up. Are we on time, Mr. Chairman? We close? Okay. So call it a hub, call it a center of excellence, call it Norplex. Yeah, okay, sorry. Yes, thank you. Call it what you choose. The concept is a very simple one. We want to see something built in our community that benefits our community. I would say the folks that started with this started location agnostic. And I would say that, to be honest, at the end of the day, as we've heard here today, we have some similar stuff. We really just want to see it built. Yes, we have some people that have an interest in it. The people that are the citizen-led portion just want it built. But we believe in the fact that we've sought out and spent many, many hours, conversations, discussions, and meeting and concept, and looked at various sites within our own abilities. And obviously that's not our expertise, that we found some very interesting folks that can bring significant benefits to Norfolk above and beyond just a hub. If you think about the development aspect of building new residences, if you think about the educational benefit that we all recognize as a deficiency of our community long-term build and retention of people and attraction of people, this has a lot of good wheels on it. We hired professionals with the council's assistance and with our own money and with their money. And so we believe in what they have to say, and so we hope you do take this very seriously. Our surveys that we did under our community-led initiative showed a super high level of support. Your community will support this both in your residents, your taxpayers, but I also believe in those that you're going to be asking for to contribute to this. I do believe there will be a significant fundraising element, but I think this community is capable of doing it, and I believe they really want it. So I hope our input has been beneficial, so thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
And I guess I should say, questions we're happy to take.
I was just about to say, does the board have any questions? Sue?
So actually, we've spoken with and worked with Fanshawe on this. They believe that the rule of thumb would be 10% of the student population. So let's say so Krista, you can help me out here. How many people are currently enrolled at Fanshawe?
So we have 300 to 400 full-time students.
Right. So we think that, at least I think, and maybe you can help me out as well, I think the campus has greater capacity than just 300 to 400 people, does it not? So we would look at their maximum capacity, and then we would build the residence based on 10% of that capacity. But because of its location, I'm answering it not in the most clear way. So if it's the one for London, for example, we look at the maximum capacity, and we did 10% of that. Because there are so many housing opportunities, right, around. The college has been around since 1960, so there's a lot of built-up. But because this would be a first of its kind, we would not use that general rule of thumb. We would increase it probably by 2 or 3 folds, because we think if we have the residents, we build it, they will come to accommodate the needs for the college. But ultimately, before we decide on the capacity, we will consult with Fanshawe for sure, and how they're going to build the programming around in the area around the campus, and what they foresee and what type of programming they have. I've spoken with the Associate Dean, Donna Gates. Many of you might know her from being in the community, and there are lots of programming potentials, such as the culinary school, hospitality programs, all sorts of stuff that can be enveloped within and around not just the hub, but even in the residence itself. So right now, I don't have a clear answer for you until we figure out what that programming is. But in order for us to actually invest here in the county, we have to work lockstep with Fanshawe to determine what that capacity or the ideal capacity is. And then maybe if we're lucky enough, there is an ability for us to scale up and to expand if and when needed.
Possibly, Krista, do you have or could you get this committee information on the economic impact of having these students living together full-time or part-time? So that we might be able to.
I don't have offhand, but I'm sure there's probably some one of our business analysts
That would be helpful just to understand the implications from an economic impact.
to have a student.
Yeah, if there's something like that out there, that'd be great.
Yeah. For sure.
Hold on, Sue. Sue, can you just use your microphone, because we're on web.
Okay. Sorry about that. I know that I've been approached for the last 4 months weekly for housing, because that is a problem. And it's finding affordable housing for these students. And I know that there isn't that opportunity for these students. And I also know, just for note, that all of those students that I've been approached by and their friends have all secured jobs.
Oh, yeah.
And it is incredible how hardworking they are in this community, and just that the opportunities, even for them to travel amongst, like we've had to take them to Hamilton, to get resources just for like cooking that they're missing, spices and stuff. But I can't imagine the benefits of a residence for these students. Just even for the mental health in our area, for those students to be able to have a family type setting, to come and have a residence for them, and for cultural diversity in our area. So I think it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a ton of benefits there, and we have had, like, the international recruiters are saying there's more and more demand to come to Norfolk County from the various countries, and it's just a matter of us being able to feasibly manage it, and having those housing options would be very helpful. And they do want to stay together as part of the community. Even right now, we have a second-year group and a first-year group. They've now come together to try to help each other and just network and, support them and take them around the county, et cetera. So they do really function as a community within our community, and the more that we could provide something that would enable them to do that, it would be fantastic.
Any other questions? Amy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to actually take this opportunity as a Norfolk County representative to thank Fanshawe College, thank them for their patience and for hanging in there with Norfolk County, and just to very publicly say that I think we all around this table know what a big asset it is to have a community college here in Norfolk County. So speaking personally, anything I can do to assist them, I'm more than happy to do that. I did have a question for Mr. Arians. I really liked all of the visual concepts, and these were a lot of ideas that the community has certainly been talking about.
Thank you.
And especially the phased approach. I think it's important to come back to that on the end, at the end of it, because you look at that and you think there's a lot of work there, but it doesn't have to happen overnight. I wondered, from your professional stance, if you were able to just provide some guidance to this committee as to next steps that you would think would be appropriate. We've been talking about a timeline. We've been talking about what needs to be included and what that looks like. I wondered if you could provide guidance.
Okay. It's an excellent question, and through the chair, I hope my answer does it justice, but I think obviously this committee has to come to grips with the idea of a hub and where it should be located. Assuming you have a location in mind, at the same time, you need to identify what type of facilities, because the facilities affect the locational criteria. Obviously, once that has been gelled by the committee and ultimately approved by your council, the land acquisition component would start, and subsequent to the land acquisition, then a design strategy. What are your immediate needs? At the same time, you're getting your financing in order, applying for the grants and knocking on the federal and provincial doors to see what they will provide to you. So you're kind of attacking it from a financial needs, locational component, all at the same time, with the goal being to have your groundbreaking 18 months from now or something like that. You set a target date, you name it, and it'll happen.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? John, I'm going to ask you to stand back up. Sorry. I have a question. Looking at the whole thing, is this an all or nothing affair with the four parties?
I'm not sure I understand the question, all or nothing. I mean, we're here with a site that we feel satisfies all your needs. If for whatever reason you pick another location, I'm sure Fanshawe would still be interested. I'm sure High Point would still be interested. Zatia likely not, since they're not the landowners, but Cairn Norfolk certainly would be, and myself as Canada's largest architectural firm, and I hope to be involved in a project down the road as well. So I don't think it's an all or nothing, sir. What we've presented here is a site that, in our opinion, has all the check marks and all the right boxes.
Okay, you actually answered my question without understanding it, so that's great. Does anybody else have anything to ask of this group? Thank you very much for your presentation. It's been very informative, and I'm sure it gets everybody's creative juices flowing. Thank you. We're moving on to discussion items now on the agenda. Matt Terry, you're up talking about recommendations for future fundraising communications plan.
Thanks, everyone. So I was asked to put together some recommendations around a fundraising communications plan. I won't take a ton of time here. I just wanted to make a couple of sort of general comments, what I've given you here. One is that this is extremely high level. I don't think anything here is would be unexpected to any of you. It's certainly not detailed in any way, and that's on purpose, and we can talk about why. So that's sort of one half of this. The other half that I really wanted to impress upon this group is communications will play, in my opinion, a key role in any fundraising that we do around this project. But that'll be in conjunction with whatever fundraising support we have for the county. So whether that's outside help or however we decide to do that. We can't execute a communications plan. We can't even develop a detailed communications plan until we've got an idea of what exactly we're doing on the fundraising side. So I look forward to working in whatever capacity you ask me and our department to work in, and working alongside whoever is leading the fundraising charge in developing a detailed plan around that fundraising plan. Those are the two sort of big picture comments I wanted to make to everyone, but I'm happy to answer any other questions around communications and how we support fundraising in the future.
Amy?
This might not necessarily be a question for you, but something you just said was you look forward to assisting in whoever leads the fundraising charge. This might just be a question for the committee, because I don't necessarily see any one of us in particular leading the fundraising charge per se, unless somebody's keen on doing that, or unless that's something we think that we can find in filling this additional position. But maybe just have some dialogue about that. I don't want it left as an understanding that maybe this committee is here for the purposes of fundraising, period.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because the original terms had us almost defined as a fundraising committee, especially in the early phases. And I know that some of us were immediately kind of taken aback by that when we saw those terms. I think that we're going to have to work with Matt on a communication strategy and a fundraising strategy, and I don't see us specifically being in that role. I see us as kind of guiding whomever is selected in that role. And I think we all have a little bit of contribution to make. I'm going to be out there knocking on doors myself as well, but we shouldn't be leading the fundraising.
Yeah, I was going to say that maybe fundraising could be a working group, one of the subgroups, and then we have people that were specifically dedicated to, helping to guide that along, but not necessarily be the fundraisers. And I don't know if you'd throw communication into that same group or not, but it might be a good fit. So I think in future that's something that we could look at establishing, so with you around the table as well, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, there's no particular question there, but yeah, I would agree. I think whatever we are doing in the communication space around fundraising, we would want to be embedded pretty tightly with whoever is working on fundraising. Absolutely.
I think immediately the key strategy we need to have is to be a presence in social media and on the news on a weekly basis. We need to keep this message out here that we're moving forward. We're not going to let this wither on the vine.
Just with regards to fundraising, I guess from my perspective, when I think about fundraising for this, I think about the key players that will be contributing funds, and those are the federal and provincial governments and in Norfolk County and the ratepayers in Norfolk County. And so I think it's very important that we do consider communications with fundraising together, because often I find in loose conversations we jump right to private donations. And I think that's probably one of the smaller pieces when you consider the overall fundraising efforts. And as we push forward and try to maintain momentum for this project and keep the excitement up amongst the public in general, we want to keep engagement on that level, because if we don't have public support generally from a typical ratepayer, then all of a sudden things can stall. So as part of that, of course, private donations will form a project within a project. And that is important, and we do have to address that. But I think we have to keep the overall fundraising perspective in mind, which is the big dollars that come from big players, and those are taxpayers. And we have to keep all taxpayers excited about this project. And I'm wondering if in the near term, it's been mentioned setting up a subset of this committee to work on this. It might be an outreach to 3 or 4 or 5 other developments to look at their plans, what was their communication strategy and fundraising strategy and success, and see if we can get some really firm ideas as to what the rollout was on those. And that might be a first step with